What's up, everybody? My name is Matthew, and today we're going to be talking about reframing your thoughts. So, last week we talked about self talk and how detrimental that can be for yourself to be compassionate to yourself, and also how it can be very, very dangerous for the people around you because you cannot be compassionate to them when they need you to be. So, self talk is incredibly important and it's good to be mindful of how you talk to yourself. So today we're going to actually be talking about reframing. So the self-talk is always good to pay attention to in terms of your tone, in terms of what you say to yourself, that inner dialogue. Now, in the moments where you are unable to catch yourself, in the moments where someone tries to hurt your feelings or try to jab at you, and if you find yourself reactive to that, very responsive to that in a very defensive manner, and also offensive a way to attack them back, you might find yourself being a little bit on the anxious side, right? And that's okay. That's very normal. And in general, what I want to talk about today is reframing your thoughts and reframing that inner world that you have inside yourself. So, specifically, when there are moments where people are talking to you, and let's say, for example, they insult you or they try to be a little bit smart and try to be indirect about insulting you, and you don't really catch that, and or in the moments where you do catch that, you react to them in a very aggressive manner. When that already happens, that's outside of your control. When you react to it, you already give your 2 cents back. You already have an altercation with this person. There's nothing more that you can do about it after that instance is already completed. So when that already happens, I highly recommend you try to reframe your thoughts and try to grow from your experiences. But before we talk about how can we try to reframe our thoughts, let's try to talk a little bit about in those cases where someone is trying to be a little bit smart with you, is trying to insult you in a very indirect way. If you are able to catch that, right? If you are present enough to understand what is going on in that situation, I highly recommend that you actually just slow it down. So just slow down life because sometimes whatever happens to you does not always need a immediate reaction. It's not always the case. You can react to them in a manner where you feel like, "Oh, if someone is insulting me right now, do I want to engage with this person? Is this person even worthwhile me being aggressive to them back? Is this person even capable of being rational to talk things out?" You have to be able to assess that situation. And the only way you can assess that situation if you slow things down. And I highly recommend you always try to stay present, focus on your breath, and really pay attention to what people have to say, not what you want to say to them. Now, that is in the cases where you actually do catch yourself in an altercation. But what if you already react to it? You already react in a defensive manner, in an aggressive manner. You are already wanting to fight with this person, and you already did fight with that person. What are you going to do? Well, the truth is there's nothing you can do to change that. You might be able to call them up or find them in hopes for some sort of reconciliation if the relationship is not salvageable. But what I always recommend is always trying to learn from your experiences, learn from yourself, learn from how you react to it, and see if you can actually take away from anything from it and see if you can avoid situations for you to react this way again. And how you can do that is reframing your thoughts. Now, I always recommend if you are going to practice this type of exercise of reframing your thoughts, it's always to do it in a quiet environment where you are alone. Now, you can take a journal, you can write it down, pen and paper, you can take a voice recorder, you can talk to yourself, anything that you can do to step into flow in a space where it is just you and an instrument to just kind of let your brain flow and really be receptive to what actually went down. And so once you find this space, let's say, for example, you're choosing to take a pen and paper and write down what's going on, I recommend you ask yourself a few questions. First question is, What is the facts of the situation? What actually happened? Don't think about whether or not you perceived it this way. This person might have, he said this and implied another thing. Don't think about any of your internal world. Don't think about that person's internal world. Think about the facts of of what happened in that situation. Did this actually happen? Now that's very important because often we find ourselves locked in our own mind, locked in our own psyche. And sometimes when we are all up in here and someone says something to us, we might read it in a different manner. And when we read it in a different manner, we're going to be defensive about it. We're going to be like, what did you just say? Did you just say that about me? Were you implying this? Who do you think you are? What is the matter with you? You know, you might react in that kind of manner. And I don't recommend you play with play with the thoughts of what's going on in your head. You should think about the situation. So if that person says something that is factual of what actually went down in that particular scenario, does that person have a merit to say it? If that person does, do you honestly have the right, or do you honestly feel like the way you reacted was precedented? Is that really what went down? Do you have the humility to admit that sometimes you are wrong? Or was that person actually wrong? Was that person actually reading the situation incorrectly and you actually needed to put them in their place to tell them what's going on? No, it's not like this. It's something else. Facts and evidence are incredibly important. So it's good to understand whether or not you know the facts and evidence, what happened in that particular situation. Very important if you want to reframe your thoughts about what actually went down. Now, the next thing I want you to ask yourself is, how did you react to that? How did you react to the situation? Did you react in a way that you were proud of? Did you react in a way where you felt that it was a little bit disgusting? Now, be honest with yourself. No one else is going to be reading this, what you wrote down. No one else. It's just you and the pen and paper just writing your thoughts down. And be honest with yourself. If you are proud of that person that you were, then so be it, right? So be it. If that person cannot accept you for who you are, and if you felt like you were acting out of your own best interest, one, to protect yourself, and two, you were actually correct in that altercation, then you deserve to be right. You deserve to be okay with how you feel. Now, if it's the other case where you felt a little bit disgusted, you felt like, I did not like the way I reacted to that. I wish that this didn't went down this way. This is not an accurate representation of who I am. I just don't react this way generally. Now we have something to work with over here. Right now, this is where we dive deep into our emotions and thinking about, why did we react in this certain manner? And did we react to this because we felt attacked? Did we felt like we were misunderstood? Did we feel like they were just trying to be better than me for no apparent reason? Now, it's incredibly important that you pay attention to your emotions, and incredibly important that you think about how you are going to react to a particular situation. And if you are happy with the way you reacted to it, then so be it. If you are not happy, pay attention to why you're not happy, and then try to fix it from there. Be okay with what your thoughts are in this space, because in this space, it's just you. It's just you and your thoughts and emotions. Be truthful to yourself, be kind to yourself, and also pay attention to how the other person react. Did the people around you react in a manner where it's like, whoa, this person is not really like that? Or, wow, that's correct. That's good job that this person said this. Good job. So there are two ways about it. One way is the person says, like the people around you say, yeah, you did. good job standing up for us versus, oh my gosh, did that person just say that? Did he just say that in front of everybody? So these are very different reactions that people get from an altercation if it happens in a public space. So I advise you to think about that. Ask yourself those two questions when you're in a private space. Remunerate and think about these altercations and think about it in an objective manner. One, you think about the facts and evidence. Two, think about how did you react? Think about how other people reacted. And then from there, figure out whether or not you want to reframe this in a positive or a negative manner. Now, at the end of it all, always be kind to yourself, be kind to other people, continue to try to be your best, not for yourself, but for other people. Continue to thrive. I'll see you in the next one.